the bikes are, a connection point to the people in our community.
I just like the problem-solving aspect of it.
The bike kind of brings us together at the shop.
It's making biking more accessible to people.
Welcome to Tell Me About Your Bike, the podcast about the meaning of life, the universe, and bicycling. I'm your host, Wesley Cheney, and today I have a very special episode. I normally do not interview two people at once, but I've got the partners behind the newest bike shop in the Northeast Kingdom of Vermont, Caledonia Bike Works, here to talk to me about opening a shop and cycling in Vermont. So, guys, how about you introduce yourself?
So my name's Ryan Murphy. I'm a person that rides bikes and now owns a bike shop, I guess.
Wow, all right.
I'm Paxton Anderson. I'm on this joint venture with Ryan Murphy, co-owning this bike shop, and I think it was a crazy thing for us to do, but it was exactly what the community needed, and so we're doing this crazy thing together.
Cool. And so what's the name of your shop?
Caledonia Bike Works.
And Caledonia is the name of the county that St. Johnsbury is in?
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah, okay. And that whole area is also referred to as the Northeast Kingdom of Vermont. So Vermont is where I grew up. I was actually, I spent a lot of time in the northwest corner, a few miles from the Canadian border on Lake Carmi, and then graduated from Springfield High School on the Connecticut River down in the southeast corner. So, but my parents moved to St. Johnsbury 27 years ago, and your shop is literally just down the hill from their house. So I was really excited when I heard that you guys were opening a bike shop. So what led to deciding to open a bike shop?
Well, we both met, we were helping volunteer for a nonprofit here in town called Link.
Okay.
And, yeah, we were both volunteering to help fix up some of their bikes. And, I had heard that Paxton had wanted to open up a shop and got in touch. And I was like, let me be your mechanic at your shop. And then kind of life happened in numerous ways for all of us. And it got pushed back a year. And we decided to go at it as partners, and launched the shop this year.
Okay, and it looks like there's a little bit of life in your lap. There is who's a fourth member of the conversation, Ryan?
This is Reggie. She's my daughter, and she's almost 1. And
wow.
She comes with me to the shop on kind of the days that we're not open a lot of the time. If I'm down here doing stuff, she tags along.
Gotcha. Very cool. So you guys met through a bicycle nonprofit?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. And how long ago was that?
What is it? 18 months ago? Maybe 2 years?
Almost 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah. The board chair of that nonprofit had mentioned that there was a new volunteer that he was excited might want to be more deeply involved and had a background in the industry, and that was Ryan. And so we met once or twice before, but our most memorable initial meeting would definitely have been when I was way in over my head trying to finish up a bike that we were raffling for a
I forgot about that.
Yeah, for a Final Friday event. It's an event that happens in St. Johnsbury.
Yeah, once a month on the Final Friday.
Yeah, I think was it June, July, and August every year. They have 3. And I was in way over my head, and Ryan came in and just completely saved the day. And a young kid got that bike, and he was just couldn't be happier. And that was
cool.
Yeah, so Ryan came in clutch, and he's still doing that.
Great. Well, Ryan, you did an awesome job on my bike. It was shifting flawlessly. I took it on a ride yesterday for it's like 31 miles, and it would have been about 1,400 feet of climbing, and it was there was one 8.5% grade that I had to get off and walk, but it was the bike was running great. So thank you for your work on it while I was up there, man. And
Awesome.
And the wheels were running true, and that's such an improvement. So I appreciate that, man. Tell me about the first time you guys went on a bike ride together.
It was kind of like later on. I feel like we'd known each other for maybe a year or so before it was that ride that you, me, and Racer went on. When was it? Late summer, early fall?
I think it was October. I think it might have been even later. It was like the last nice day of the year, and I had rallied. I was like, guys, I think this might be the last day. And I think the weather turned pretty gnarly the week after, and just never. Yeah, winter just kind of took over at that point. So, but it was a beautiful late fall, I believe, day.
Clear and sunny and kind of brisk.
Yeah,
it was beautiful out. Yeah.
Were there still leaves on the tree?
Not very much. I remember there being a lot of leaves on the ground for that. Yeah.
Okay. And what kind of was this? Road, gravel, trail?
Let's see. Went from a road, paved road to gravel back road to class 4 road, and it was actually it was the first ride on a new bike I had purchased, just to get around town, and a racer took us on a class 4 road, and I had to walk it through the rock gardens, but it's cool. Ryan was sending it. He's full send.
It was Jill's Hill over towards North Danville, if you're familiar.
I don't know that particular section. I did a little bit where I was on the, which bank would it be? I guess it would be the western bank of the Passumpsic on this big hill, and then found a loop that I almost made it to Linden, and then found a loop that brought me around the other side of the hill back to Pleasant Hill Cemetery. And at the top of it, it was a class 4 where there was a lot of rock and snow and ice that I was pushing my bike through. So
it might have been that zone. Yeah, it's kind of out there.
Yeah, and it had gone from a really nice wide, like 30-foot wide, maintained road to double track. That had not been maintained at all, but it was, and I was good. I'm just trusting my map on Strava. I'm like, well, I see a solid line from here to St. Johnsbury, so I think I can make it. So we'll see how it plays. But those are the fun rides. I love those. So let me double check my questions. See what else I got. So we covered that. So what are some of the satisfying aspects of running a bike shop?
For me, I'll field that one. At least in my perspective, it's the people. I mean, the bikes are, a connection point to the people in our community. Something we can kind of all of us who love bicycles are enamored by them in our own respective ways.
Right.
For whatever, many various reasons. I think it's very personal to each individual, what their bike means to them. But I think one thing that it can kind of be I think it can be a sinew. The bike kind of brings us together here at the shop. And when somebody comes in and they're like, yeah, I don't know what's wrong with my bike. And what can you do for me? And our answer is, we'll make sure that, you get it back and it's riding great. And and just when people come to pick up their bikes, they're almost always smiling. Even when they have to, make a payment, they're just seeing the smiles on their faces, and the community's been so receptive so far. So our bike shop in particular, the root concept of it was, community oriented and community centric. The business is really aimed to just be a support for the community, where we're serving the community, not necessarily the community serving us. We'll be as successful as the community is supportive, but it's the people for me. So
cool. How about you, Ryan?
being able to help people out when they come in, and I just like the problem solving aspect of it. Like you never really, you just kind of get the most random things coming in, and you get to experience a lot of different types of bikes that you otherwise wouldn't, and test ride them all. So you kind of get to, you just get to experience all these different things and be solving problems, and I like that.
All right.
I love that Ryan loves solving problems. So I do a lot of the baseline standard stuff, and when there's something really challenging,
Right.
it's great having Ryan on.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, what is the bike scene like in St. Johnsbury in particular, in Caledonia County in general?
I mean, there's a pretty well known trail network up here called Kingdom Trails. So there's a lot of mountain biking. It's a bit of a tourist destination for kind of people all over the Northeast and Canada that come down here and ride. There's a lot of really great gravel riding as well. There's not a ton of like bike commuting and like casual getting around biking, but I feel like we're starting to see more and more of it, especially with the e-bikes becoming a little bit more just easier to get, and there's just more of them out there. So it's making biking more accessible to people, and that's been cool to see. But yeah, a lot of mountain biking and gravel riding, I'd say.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. And I got to say, in the years that I've been going up to St. J, I'm definitely seeing a lot more people commuting on e-bikes recently, which makes sense because St. Johnsbury is fairly hilly, and unless you happen to both live and work in the valley, you are going to have to climb some hills. So the e-bike makes it a little easier to get up the last mile on your way home when you're commuting up the hill to the house. So yeah, that's definitely changed.
I think Ryan and I I'll just jump in, would love to see and promote even more sort of lifestyle riding, where we're getting on a bike, just sending it out of your door and setting off on it to go to work or to go to the store. And, I'd love to see St. Johnsbury become, see more of that. And hopefully with us being here, we can promote that and support that and be a hub that allows people to feel more confident, if they're commuting or something in the area and have a problem, they can come here for support.
Yeah, for sure. So, Ryan, tell me about your first bike.
I mean, I'm gonna skip childhood bikes because I don't remember those super well. I know there are a handful in there, but the first bike that really like got me interested in riding was when I was how old was I? I was 20. Yeah, I was 20 at the time. Actually, no, maybe I was 18 or 19 when I got the bike. It was a Fuji Del Rey from 1986 or so.
I don't know the Del Rey. What kind of style bike was that?
It's just a pretty standard steel road bike. Like you picture a steel road bike from the 80s with a horizontal top tube and 1-inch threaded steer. It's like, looks like the rest of them. And it was like this gray kind of gunmetal metallic color. And it was like absurdly small for me because I didn't, sorry about the baby coughs.
It's okay.
I'm like 5'11" and would ride a 56 centimeter typically. But this, I didn't know anything about bikes, and this one was leaning outside of it was like a kind of thrift store, antique store, just random place in Lindenville across from the Miss Lindenville Diner. And I think this bike was like a 49 or a 52 centimeter. Like, it was just ridiculously small. And I took that bike with me when I moved to Chicago, and it became my primary mode of transportation. And rode that thing around for a year and a half or so before it finally got stolen. And that was that for that bike. But I would call that my first bike.
And how about you, Paxton? Tell us about your first bike.
Oh my goodness. I'll go a little bit younger than Ryan. I definitely, I have my quintessential first bike that I purchased with my brother when we moved in together when I was in college, and we started doing, half centuries and longer rides together
Right.
consistently. But my first bike, I feel I should do a due diligence to mention was, I didn't, my parents didn't buy me a bike. They bought my older brother a bike. So this must have been when I was maybe 13, 14.
Okay.
And it was, I can scarcely remember the brand, but, I think it was some department store bike they had bought for my brother. He outgrew it, and it was pretty roached after I inherited it.
Right.
But it was amazing to me because it was the first bike that I've ever had, really, that I felt like it was, I took ownership of. And, I think it had a broken front wheel, and I cobbled it back together with some old, kids' bike parts or something. I can't really remember, but something I do remember is it had 26-inch wheels, and I think I ended up putting a 24-inch wheel on the front, and so it was, let's call it a mullet, and the front brake calipers, squeezed on the tire to stop it. But that bike got me. That bike was my ticket to freedom. I think I want to call it was like a Mako Shark or some. I mean, it was probably just atrocious. But I sent that thing, hundreds and hundreds of miles into town and to see friends, and yeah, it was. I have a lot of good memories on that bike, and I'm sure it's deep in the earth now, in a landfill or somewhere. But hope it's it has a legacy in my heart.
Oh, cool. So that's going to wrap up the first part of my interview with Ryan and Paxton of Caledonia Bike Works in St. Johnsbury, Vermont. Subscribe now to tell me about your bike so you don't miss the conclusion of our conversation in the next episode. If there's someone in your life who loves bikes and loves podcasts, please send them a link to the show and share it on social media. If you want to share a story about your bike and the adventures you've taken on it, send me an email. My email address is friendwes@mac.com. As DJ Pseudonymous, I host the radio show Radio Eclectica on WMMT 88.7 FM, broadcasting out of Whitesburg, Kentucky on Fridays from noon to 2 p.m. Eastern. You can stream Radio Eclectica anytime on WMMT's website, wmmt.org. I'll include a link in the show notes. In addition to interviewing Appalachian artists, I take deep dives into different aspects of music. It could be an album, a producer, a genre, a technique, or even an era. In this week's show of Radio Eclectica, I'm going to be taking a deep dive into the more ambient side of Pink Floyd, as well as some remixes and covers of Pink Floyd. And I also host the podcast Tell Me About NC, a celebration of Terry Riley's minimalist musical masterpiece, NC, which has inspired generations of musicians since Terry Riley wrote it in 1964. If you enjoy the music of bands like The Who, or composers like Steve Reich and Philip Glass, or producers like Brian Eno, or loopers like Zoe Keating, you'll love NC. You can find Tell Me About NC on all major podcasting platforms. Well, keep the rubber side down and keep rolling. Cheers, y'all. Copyright Rambling Ukulele Productions 2026. Most rights reserved.